What if I told you that avoiding people, even your neighbors, has made me the happiest I've ever been at 70? Sounds crazy, right? But trust me, it's the best decision I've ever made. You might be wondering, how can staying away from people bring happiness? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to dive into in today's video. In the past, I spent so much time trying to keep up with everyone around me. Neighbors, social expectations, and endless obligations. But once I decided to stop trying to please everyone and focused on my own well-being, everything changed. So, in this video, I'm going to share the 7 surprising things that happened when I stopped filling my life with obligations and started focusing on my own happiness. I promise, some of these might just surprise you. Stick around, and let's get into it. Number 1. Rediscovered personal time. One of the most unexpected benefits of avoiding neighbors has been the sheer amount of time I've gained for myself. Before I started limiting interactions, I was constantly pulled into casual chats, small talk, and neighborly favors. It seemed like there was always someone knocking on the door or stopping by. While I loved my neighbors, it often felt like my time wasn't my own. I realized that I was spending so much of my energy on maintaining those interactions that I didn't have enough left for the things I actually enjoyed doing. Once I started setting boundaries and carving out some space for myself, I suddenly had time to indulge in hobbies I had long neglected. I found myself diving back into books I hadn't read in years. Whether it was mystery novels, gardening guides, or even a few light-hearted memoirs, reading became my favorite way to unwind. I had forgotten how much joy there was in getting lost in a good story, and now I could read for hours without interruption. And it's not just reading. I've also rediscovered my love for painting. I used to dabble in art when I was younger, but life got in the way, and I just never made the time for it. Now, I've set up a little corner in my living room with all my paints and canvases, and every few days I sit down and let my creativity flow. It's such a peaceful experience, and I've created some of my favorite pieces during this new chapter of my life. I've even started taking long, peaceful walks in the park. Just me and my thoughts. It's amazing how much clarity you can find when you don't have to engage with everyone around you. It sounds simple, but these activities have become some of the highlights of my day. The funny part is that I've even started looking forward to my me time more than socializing. By simply stepping back from constant neighborly obligations, I've unlocked a world of personal time that's allowed me to reconnect with myself and rediscover passions I had forgotten about. If you haven't had a moment to truly focus on what you love doing, trust me, it's worth it. Number 2. Improved mental health. Another huge benefit I've noticed since avoiding neighbors is the improvement in my mental health. You'd be surprised how much constant social interaction, even with good intentions, can add stress and anxiety to your life. Before, it felt like I was always on alert, making sure I was available for conversations, always responding to someone knocking on the door or messaging me about something. While I enjoyed the company, I didn't realize how draining it could be. It was like I was always trying to keep up with a never-ending cycle of social obligations. Now, with fewer interactions, I've experienced a significant drop in stress levels. Without the pressure of maintaining constant small talk and worrying about neighborly expectations, I feel much more at ease. I no longer feel like I'm being pulled in 100 directions. This reduction in social interaction has allowed me to enjoy a quieter, calmer lifestyle. It's amazing how much your mind can relax when you're not constantly thinking about what you said, what someone else might need, or the next encounter that might be just around the corner. Solitude, surprisingly, has been a game changer. Instead of feeling isolated or lonely, I've learned to embrace the power of spending time alone. I realized that solitude isn't the same as loneliness. It's a time to recharge, to reflect, and to truly listen to your own thoughts. It's in these quiet moments that I found peace, whether it's sitting with a cup of tea and letting my mind wander, or just enjoying the stillness of my home. It's been incredibly healing. It's not about being alone out of necessity, but choosing it because it's what my mental health needs. Looking back, I can honestly say I feel more in control of my emotions. Without the pressure of constant external influence or the need to respond to everyone around me, I found a new sense of emotional stability. I'm not as reactive to small things, and I'm better able to handle challenges that come my way. It's like I've built an emotional buffer that allows me to deal with life's ups and downs with more balance. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by social demands, remember that sometimes less really is more when it comes to your mental well-being. Tip: strengthened relationships. Number 3. Strengthened relationships with close family and friends. One of the most rewarding changes I've noticed since distancing myself from constant neighborly interactions is how much stronger my relationships with close family and friends have become. Before, I felt like I was spreading myself too thin, trying to balance casual interactions with neighbors. As a result, I often didn't have the energy or time to invest in the people who really matter to me. I was so focused on being available for everyone else that I didn't realize I was neglecting the deeper, more fulfilling connections in my life. Now, with fewer distractions and less time spent on obligatory neighborly chats, I've been able to put more effort into nurturing relationships with my children, siblings, and close friends. I've started having more meaningful conversations with them, and we've been able to share moments that truly matter. Instead of feeling rushed or fragmented, these connections feel much more genuine. We have longer, more thoughtful conversations without the constant interruptions that used to come from neighborly interactions. It's amazing how much more fulfilling these relationships are when you're not constantly pulled in different directions. For example, I've started having weekly dinner dates with my daughter, something I hadn't done in years. We've used that time to catch up, share stories, and just enjoy each other's company without any outside distractions. It's become one of the highlights of my week, and I feel like we've become even closer because of it. I've also made time to reconnect with old friends I hadn't spoken to in a while. We now have regular catch-up calls, and I look forward to those moments where we can just laugh, share stories, and reminisce without feeling like we're competing for each other's time. By freeing up space from casual social obligations with neighbors, I've been able to focus on the relationships that truly bring me joy and fulfillment. It's not about having a huge circle of acquaintances. It's about having a close-knit group of people who genuinely matter to you. This has given me a new sense of appreciation for the value of deep, meaningful connections, and I feel incredibly grateful for the stronger bonds I've formed with my loved ones since I made this shift. Tip: a renewed sense of independence. Number 4. A renewed sense of independence. One of the most empowering changes I've experienced since avoiding constant neighborly interactions is the renewed sense of independence I now feel. For so long, I was caught up in a cycle of trying to please others and being available whenever someone needed me. Whether it was helping with something or simply engaging in endless conversations, I had lost touch with what it truly meant to have control over my own time and space. But once I started taking a step back, I realized how much more self-reliant I could be, and how much better I felt as a result. Having the freedom to choose how I spend my time without feeling pressured by social obligations has been a game changer. I no longer have that feeling of being pulled in 1,000 directions, trying to juggle what others expect of me. Instead, I've taken back control of my own schedule. I can spend my afternoons doing whatever makes me feel happy, whether it's reading a book, going for a walk, or simply relaxing in silence without anyone knocking on my door. This control over my time has helped me feel more self-sufficient and confident in my ability to manage my own life without constantly relying on the approval or presence of others. Now, my independence is something I truly cherish. I've come to realize that having the space to think, reflect, and do things at my own pace is incredibly empowering. It's not just about being alone. It's about having the power to prioritize my own needs without feeling guilty or obligated to meet everyone else's demands. This new sense of freedom has given me a stronger sense of who I am and what I truly value. I feel more comfortable making decisions based on what I need rather than what I think others expect of me. I've also noticed that my confidence has grown. Being able to rely on myself and make choices that serve my well-being has been deeply empowering. It's a reminder that we don't always need external validation to feel fulfilled. Independence has given me the ability to create my own happiness, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Tip: embracing peace and quiet. Number 5. Embracing peace and quiet. One of the most surprising benefits of distancing myself from constant neighborly interactions has been the profound sense of peace and calm that has entered my life. Before, my days were often filled with the sounds of casual conversations, knocks at the door, or even just the general bustle of people coming and going around me. While these interactions weren't necessarily stressful, they often disrupted my sense of tranquility and made it hard to fully relax. Now that I've intentionally created more space for peace and quiet, I've noticed a huge shift in my overall well-being. Having a quieter, more peaceful environment has been incredibly calming. There's something special about being able to sit in silence without the background noise of small talk or the feeling of needing to entertain or engage with others. I find that without these distractions, I can truly unwind and focus on what matters to me. The absence of constant chatter has allowed me to become more in tune with my thoughts and feelings, creating a space where I can process emotions or simply enjoy the serenity of being alone. It's amazing how much clarity you gain when you remove all the noise from your surroundings. Silence has truly become one of my most valuable forms of self-care. I've realized that in today's world, we're often bombarded by noise and stimuli, and it can be overwhelming at times. But in the stillness of my home, I found a deep sense of rejuvenation. Whether it's spending an afternoon reading a book with no interruptions, enjoying the sound of birds outside, or simply sitting with my thoughts, silence has become a source of healing. It's a time for me to recharge and reset, something I didn't realize I was missing before. Taking the time to embrace quiet moments has also helped me develop a deeper appreciation for solitude. I've learned that it's not just about being alone, it's about enjoying the peace that comes with it. In this quiet, I found a sense of calm that I didn't even know I was craving, and now I make it a priority to carve out these peaceful moments every day. Whether it's a quiet walk in the morning or just sitting in my favorite chair soaking in the stillness, it's become an essential part of my self-care routine, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Tip: healthier boundaries. Number 6. Healthier boundaries. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned since avoiding unnecessary neighborly interactions is the importance of setting healthier boundaries. Before I made this change, I often found myself saying yes to things I didn't really want to do simply to keep the peace or avoid confrontation. Whether it was helping with a neighbor's project or participating in a community event, I felt obligated to get involved, even when it wasn't something I was truly interested in. This habit of saying yes left me feeling drained, and I realized that my time and energy were being stretched too thin. By limiting interactions with neighbors, I've been able to practice setting boundaries in a way that feels empowering. I've learned to say no when I need to, without guilt or fear of disappointing anyone. It's not that I don't care about the people around me, but I've come to understand that protecting my time and energy is essential for my own well-being. This newfound ability to set boundaries has spilled over into other areas of my life as well. I'm now much more mindful about where I invest my time and who I engage with, making sure that each interaction adds value to my life rather than drains it. As we get older, it becomes even more important to protect our energy. There's a certain wisdom that comes with age, and part of that wisdom is recognizing that our time is limited. It's not about cutting people off or being rude. It's about making intentional choices about where to place your energy. I've realized that if I'm constantly overextending myself, I have less to give to the things and people that truly matter. Establishing boundaries has allowed me to create space for the things that nourish me, whether it's time with family, pursuing hobbies, or simply resting. Setting healthier boundaries has been a powerful tool in reclaiming my life and well-being. I now feel more in control of my choices and more aligned with my personal needs. It's a reminder that at any age, we have the right to protect our time, energy, and peace, and that's something worth prioritizing. Tip number 7: greater happiness and contentment. Looking back on this entire transformation, I can honestly say it's led to a much greater sense of happiness and contentment in my life. When I first decided to distance myself from constant neighborly obligations, I didn't fully realize just how much stress and pressure I'd been carrying. It felt like I was living life on other people's terms, trying to meet their expectations, filling my days with activities I didn't always enjoy, and constantly putting others' needs before my own. Once I stepped back and focused on my own happiness, I began to see just how much lighter I felt. The weight of trying to please everyone disappeared, and in its place I found a newfound freedom to pursue what truly brought me joy. This shift in focus has made me realize that happiness doesn't always come from grand achievements or fulfilling societal expectations. It often comes from the small, simple moments that we might otherwise overlook. I now find so much joy in things I used to take for granted, like a quiet morning with a cup of coffee, the pleasure of a good book, or a peaceful walk in the park. These little moments have become so much more meaningful to me now that I'm not constantly looking for external validation or approval from others. When you stop trying to meet everyone else's expectations, you start to appreciate the small things that truly matter. I've also discovered that contentment isn't about chasing after the next big thing or trying to keep up with everyone else. It's about appreciating where you are and finding peace in the present moment. By cutting back on unnecessary interactions and focusing on my own well-being, I've learned to live more intentionally. I no longer feel like I need to be doing something all the time or constantly be in the company of others to feel fulfilled. Now, I'm content with the quiet moments, the simple pleasures, and the time I spend with the people who truly matter. This transformation has not only made me happier, but has also deepened my appreciation for life as it is, right here and right now. Conclusion. So, there you have it, how avoiding neighbors and creating space for myself has led to a happier, more peaceful life. From rediscovering personal time to embracing solitude and setting healthier boundaries, these changes have made a huge difference in my overall well-being. I hope this video inspires you to focus on your own happiness and start making space for the things that truly matter. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. If you agree with the changes I've made, comment 9 for yes, or if you feel there's more you could do to create peace in your life, comment 0. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.